doesn't work either. That's all right. Okay, this is the Planning Commission meeting to be held Tuesday, May 10th, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the Common Council Chambers, the City Hall, Room 100 in Greenfield. Would you please call the roll?
Brian Weiss.
Present. You can enter.
Bob Krenz.
Present.
Mike Braswell.
Present.
Danielle Wojak. Present. Alderperson Kastner.
Present.
Mayor Knightsky.
Present. Moving along, item 2, approval of the minutes from the April 12th meeting. Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, was that Brian?
Motion by
Carl.
Kastner.
Oh, it's Carl,
second
sorry.
by
Carl,
Braswell.
thank you. And Danielle will abstain.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Discussion regarding last common council meetings.
The items in front of you on your screen were approved by the Common Council after public hearings. That was the Blue Mills alcohol sales, Melton Dip, Loomis Sicko beer sales, and the Cobalt right-of-way discontinuance.
Great, thank you. Moving along, item 4, temporary use permit for Backyard Butchers, a proposed drive-through meat market and food drive collection site to be located at 5200 South 76th Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was before the Planning Commission last year. They wished to occupy some parking space in the former Sears Auto parking lot. They would only have one person running the show with a tent. They would be open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. May 13th through June 6th. It's a temporary use, long-term, which needs to be reviewed by the Planning Commission.
So this is only from May 13th to June 6th?
That is correct.
2 weeks? Is that 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 3 weeks?
Probably.
Did we do it last time? You
Yeah,
just
we
said?
did it last year, but how long did we do it? Didn't we do it longer?
Yeah, it might have been. It was about the same.
4 weeks.
I feel like it was not much longer than a month if it was.
Yeah.
We can give it a try. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, site and architectural plans for proposed car wash addition to All-Star Honda, 6141 South 27th Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This property is owned PUD. This is not a substantial change of use at all. It's a very small 196 square foot addition, this tiny little gray rectangle here in the back of the property for a car wash. This is the site here. They'll just expand a little bit, construct a new overhead door, building materials to match the existing. The only thing staff notices, these refuse enclosure doors are in rough shape. They should be replaced, and would ask for a personnel door for staff to use so that the swinging gates aren't left open. There was also just some, like a tire and some pallets kind of scattered throughout the site. Just ask that that be cleaned up. Otherwise, staff recommends approval.
I'll make a motion to approve. It was a minor change and no public hearing and all that kind of.
Motion by Alderperson Kastner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Krantz. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Before we go any further, Chrissy, can you introduce our new member to the commission? I'm
Yes.
sorry, I forgot to do that at the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. We have a new commissioner, Danielle Wojak. We had a vacancy for an alternate planning commissioner for a while, and Danielle was recommended with high remarks, and I did get an opportunity to meet with Danielle and sit down and go over some projects, and she's very well in tune with what's going on in the community. It'll be a great addition to the Planning Commission, so we welcome Danielle.
It's an honor to have you here. Typically, you're an alternate. You wouldn't get to vote, but you can engage in discussion. Tonight, a number of our members are gone, so you get to vote as well. But always feel free to ask any question.
Okay, thanks.
Nothing's too stupid unless Mike says it.
Correct.
That was a joke. Mike
No, it
wasn't. No, that was a joke. That was just a joke, Mike. You're not. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it. Mike doesn't do that. All right. So the motion was made and seconded. All in favor? We did that.
Aye. If not-
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 6A and 6B are proposed outdoor dining area at Classic Lanes of Greenfield, as well as a site plan review for the outdoor area at 5404 West Layton Avenue.
This Gina, the owner of Classic Lanes, has brought a temporary use before the Plan Commission for the last 2 summers. And rather than spend that money to request a temporary use, we suggested she just permanently ask for an outdoor seating area, special use review, not a major change to the property. She would have I believe, a 48 by 20 area, the same area that was utilized the last 2 years. Outdoor hours of operation would be 3 to 10 p.m., Wednesday through Friday, Saturday 11 to 10, Sunday 11 to 6. And regarding site conditions, we just asked that these barrels and dumpsters that you can see that were sitting out be removed. And there are some patching that needs to be done. Just ask that that be taken care of by the end of July.
Great, thank you. I talked to Gina immediately before the meeting, said she didn't have to be here for this since we've looked at this before. She understands that her parking lot's not in great condition. She understands that her business needs to be spruced up a little bit, and she's more than willing to do that and has already contacted contractors.
Did you talk to her about signing? Did you see, if you go back to that picture, that sign, just everything, go back to the original, like,
Oh, yeah, the L. You're
yeah,
right.
just,
Yeah.
she should get that looking nicer, right?
Yeah, we'll contact her about that, sure. Yeah, that should be
But
repaired.
yeah, just,
Definitely shouldn't get rid of the C and the L.
Oh, my gosh.
but yeah, just to make it look a little bit nicer out there.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the site and landscaping plan for the Asian beer garden
and a special use.
and a special use.
I'll second it.
Motion by Alderperson Caster, second by Commissioner Weiss, all in favor?
Aye.
Do they need to expand their alcohol permit?
Yes, that will be on the council agenda as well.
So
That's
they know about it, I guess. Is my
Yes, they
concern.
do, yep.
Good.
part of the licensing, right? So. Okay, moving along with 7A and 7B, this is a special use permit for Blaze Tobacco Shop located at 4642 South 76th Street, and the site landscape and architectural plans for same.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this building is generally referred to as the Star Wars building. So for lack of better naming rights, I'll continue to call it that if we make any reference to it. But I think everyone's aware of this property. It's just north of the intersection of 76 and Layton. It has been vacant for some time and is in need of quite a bit of improvements site-wise and architectural. So the applicant actually purchased this property to house his real estate business, and then a prospective tenant would be Blaze Smoke Shop, which is a tobacco and vape store, which would occupy about 1,100 square feet. Property zone C4 does require a special use permit public hearing for that tobacco proposal. A public hearing could be scheduled as soon as June 21st. The hours for that particular tenant would be 7 a.m. till 11 p.m. They're proposing daily. Staff recommends closing time of 10 p.m. to be consistent with other tobacco store locations. Now, as far as when the applicant approached the city a couple months ago, we had some long discussions. The mayor visited the site and had lengthy discussions with the owner as well, just about, the needs, the improvements that are needed with this site. And he really took his time and is proposing quite a substantial amount of improvements. This is the new building, the rendering of what the building will look like. The materials are listed here. We've got some nichiha. They're going to do some painting. They're removing the soffits and infilling the middle of the front elevation with the horizontal nichiha cement architectural panels. They're constructing a walkway at the entrances. But what's really substantial, in addition to the design, is lowering and regrading the entire front of the property. Right now, it has a substantial incline from 76th Street. It's not a safe entry to the site, and there's multiple driveways. And so what they're doing is they're completely regrading, making it a flat surface, constructing this retaining wall and brand new entrance and an ADA ramp that does need to kind of curve around the side of the building. So there's a driveway that you probably wouldn't really notice that goes along the side and to the back of the building. You can see there's a large garage in the back. So this is the site plan. They'll put a little bit of landscaping. There's not exactly a lot of room for landscaping on this narrow site, but, so they'll have two distinct driveways here, and no modifications to the actual driveway entrances, so no permit is needed, just the addition of the landscaping here. You go along the back, and there's that ADA ramp along the side, and then there will be parking in the back, and like I said, there's an existing large garage. The retail use requires 11 off-street. The office tenant will require 8, and there's 18 provided. So here are the building elevations. This is existing and the new proposal. Quite a substantial change as far as design. And the back elevation, they'll paint the back. These step-offs will be replaced. These are in poor condition. And then they're going to increase the height of this overhead door just a little bit. And this is the ADA ramp that you see that wraps along the side of the property. So there's some conditions of the site. You can see it definitely needs substantial improvements. This is the back area. The blocks are kind of being pushed out, and so they're going to address that by increasing the height of the overhead door. This lattice area along the side will be completely removed and replaced with the ramp along the side of the property. So there are quite a few conditions in the staff reports that actually have been addressed since the staff report was published on Thursday. And so staff's recommendations have been reduced as far as modifications to the plans to some engineering details that need to be supplied, ADA compliant parking space, simple thing to take care of, photometric plans needed, just general site cleanup. And then the one condition that was, I think, left out accidentally is curb to be added to the south property line along the driveway. Staff recommends to hold a public hearing on June 21st.
Any questions for anybody?
More comment on the landscaping. I know there's no landscaping on the property, but what's the likelihood those bushes are gonna survive on 76th Street?
About 0.
Exactly, and to me, my point is, can we do some hardscape there for, because they're gonna be dead.
Or can you do an elevation? Like,
Well, just a little, even a little hardscape with some rocks or something else to put some landscaping, but I just don't think any plants are gonna survive there.
It's gonna survive there.
Nothing.
I don't think. I mean, just,
That's just my
so the
thought.
parking lot is gonna be incredibly tight, in and out, right?
Yeah.
Um,
The width, I'm sorry, are you talking about the width to get back in the back? Yeah, it's 20 feet instead of our standard 24, but
For the front parking lot. where the-
oh,
right in front
yeah,
of the-
it's a short, I'm gonna go to that site plan. It's a short space here, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't require that landscaping there.
No, I agree. I think it's just gonna be dead anyways. If you do hardscape, people are gonna run it over anyways. It's just one of those make it easier
Okay.
for plowing.
All right,
I love green space, but I just can't see that surviving.
yeah, okay.
And then there was a sign that I thought was gonna be removed in between the drive, yep, there it is.
Yeah,
There's a
then the
sign.
north side.
Yeah,
It's on the south side, actually, kind of.
Yeah,
it
no, it's
is,
nothing on the
and you're
plans.
right, that will be removed, and
Removed.
they intend on putting a new monument sign. So that's good up here because it's out of the vision triangle, yeah.
Make sure it's not in the vision triangle.
Right,
with
we-
the
yep.
Restaurant next door.
Yes, we've been talking to them about that.
Since we're taking away the landscaping out by the street, is there any room on the front porch, if I have no other word to use for it? Maybe not necessarily something landscapey-ish, but something in potter.
Like a flower
pottery.
pots?
Flower pots of some kind.
Yeah, we can ask for that.
Yeah.
People can put their cigarette butts in them.
There you go.
The
'Cause they're
person
going to
who
a
They will,
tobacco.
they will.
parcel, do they own the blaze? Or would that just be a tenant,
It's a tenant.
just a tenant, okay.
Did we make a motion?
Not yet, I don't think.
No, I don't have a motion.
Still digesting what we're seeing here.
I know.
Yeah, so as I understand it, the owner, the person that bought the property has a number of these shops throughout the city, and he also has a number of cell phone stores throughout
Oh,
the city.
so I may be wrong. Maybe
I
he's not a
thought
tenant.
that's what
Okay,
was happening, or someone that he works with.
Sure, a partner or something.
Yeah.
I did do a quick Google search before this, and there's 11 smoke shops, tobacco shops in the area. So I don't know what the need is there.
There's gas stations too in the area as
That's
well.
true.
Albeit less gas stations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the issues that you have here. It's like in the immediate area, there are 3 or 4 pet stores, right? Pet shops. And it's, you know, if they're permitted uses or if there's a special use and there's a special use hearing, that is, you know, those are for special uses. There are things that are permitted, right? Like if a pet store wanted to go in there, we wouldn't, oh, that, is that a special use too? Pet stores?
I think it's a special use.
I don't know. I don't know. So there's permitted ones and there's special ones. The permitted ones can just
The
go
grooming
in.
might be.
The special ones need a hearing. Tobacco uses are a special one. But we tend not to get involved in the competitive nature of things, right? Investment is good. This building has been sort of an eyesore for a very, very long time. It looks exactly as it does, as it had for 30 or 40 years, honestly, right?
Hasn't changed,
Hasn't changed at all. Walking through it, it was a complete mess on the inside.
I'm sure. I remember going there as a kid because of Star Wars stuff.
It's a significant
was
amount
there
of
when
money
you were a
going in
kid?
there just to
And,
lower the front parking lot,
At least high
I
school,
think.
because I was able to drive there
So, okay. All right,
30 years ago.
anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I will make a motion with the commission's recommendations with the landscaping, the pots and everything else that we discussed.
If it's possible, right?
I'm not gonna, no, yeah, if it's possible.
Okay.
It could be like 3 feet there, I don't know. Then I guess it's not possible. Although they could put vines on it,
The
really.
gentleman that I talked to that owns the building wants the building to look really good,
Apparently.
so
Yes, it's a drastic improvement from what there is today.
there's probably more money being spent on improvements than on the purchase of the property. Substantially, multiples, so. Okay. I don't see him, unless he looks different. Is he incognito? Might be the guy in the beard. Are you him? No, he didn't have a beard the last time, that's, just kidding, sorry. All right, motion, was there a motion made by Kastner, seconded by anybody?
I'll second it.
Mr. Braswell gets this one, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay, moving along to the next one,
Glenwood.
8, right?
Yep.
Site plans for proposed fence at Glenwood Elementary School located 3550 South 51st Street, submitted by the School District of Greenfield. Make a motion to approve the item as presented. There's been a significant amount of vandalism going on at Glenwood.
Yeah.
We've been working with the police department and our IT department with regard to getting Wi-Fi cameras set up all over the place, including other places in the city. Unfortunately, it's relatively expensive, so we're going through the budgeting process right now to try to figure that stuff out. But I strongly recommend the fence here if we can.
Make a second?
Second by Commissioner Weiss, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, 9, site and architectural plans for proposed exterior modifications at Best Buy and existing business at 4610 South 76th Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Best Buy is adding basically exterior lockers. You order your product online, and then you can go and you scan your QR code right up to that locker, and the door pops open for you. So that's what no changes in operation, but that's the overhaul of the modification to the front of the building. So they're adding a door for their staff to go in and out easily. Here are the lockers. So pretty minor change. There'll be a new ramp, stairs leading up to that locker area. They're going to infill a garage bay and 2 doors in the back elevation. Just some general site cleanup as usual with some of these sites that needs to take place. Not sure why these are out here, but they should ask for them storage trailers to be removed. Obviously, they've got some issues here with maintaining their landscaping, but staff recommends that this be expedited to next week's Common Council meeting.
Okay, just one other thing too, as you know, the property, I'm looking at something different. Is there an overhead of it?
Yes. Right here.
Okay, so right there is their business property extends to the
Yes.
south, right?
And
Where you're
goes,
pointing your
and
finger.
goes down to Layton.
Two
Yep.
different owners here.
Yeah, so I'm looking at somebody point their fingers that nobody else is seeing. But the parking lot that attaches to Layton
Yep.
on the eastern part of the,
Right here.
yeah, that goes all the way up to the building, right? That whole parking lot is part of the Best Buy. There
Yep.
used to be an office building there a long time ago. That parking lot's in atrocious shape.
Yes.
So as a condition of this, they need to get that fixed up.
Okay. Do you want to put a timeline on that?
No,
Oh,
well,
No?
a year.
a year.
something.
Okay.
The summer of '22.
And then that cleanup can not happen any sooner.
Yeah.
Into June, because it's all, not the fun of it's all.
What about the fence along the freeway?
Yeah,
That's
that's-
atrocious.
So we think that's
That's the
DOT
DOT's.
fence.
Yeah, so we need to, well, they need to get that fixed from the DOT. I mean, they can reach out to the DOT to get that.
Right.
They will fix it if it's in disrepair, if they're notified about it.
You want us, we did talk to Best Buy about it because we brought that up at a staff meeting. And they said, yes, it's DOT fence. We could ask.
It's not a
we-
condition of them doing it, but the fence, we need to,
Yeah.
whoever it is we need to figure out how to get it fixed.
It's in rough shape. We'll try to reach out to the DOT. I'm sure they'll offer right away to fix it.
And when we did the little office building that was east of the parking lot in Layton, last year, there was a ton of garbage and the fence
Yes,
isn't-
it's
has all
still
that-
there.
Is it still there?
Yes.
So I wouldn't give them a permit until they clean that crap up,
Okay.
because it's been a really long time. They spend $0 cleaning up their parking lot, and it's mostly their stuff.
Yeah, we were going to have Mark go back out there and remind them about the garbage.
Did they give you any description of what the lockers look like? Are they gonna be this bright yellow thing, or?
They're black. They're just black in color.
They're black.
I don't know if we have examples.
Come
You
to
the Best Buy guy?
microphone. Yep.
Oh, this will be fun. Now I can say this to you.
Now we can complain about stuff to you. Will you take it back?
And
Consultants, we're the architect and engineer of record for the project 2221 Schrock Road, Columbus, Ohio. A couple of items that I had heard that I wanted to respond to. So the first was the fence. Our office was in contact with a Ms. Emily Herrick with Milwaukee County Parks. It is my understanding that Milwaukee County Parks owns that particular fence. They claimed ownership for
They
it.
maintain it for the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Milwaukee
and they
County
were
Highway Department would do that. So we know who those people are.
understood. Well,
We'll help you with that.
We, in that correspondence, they elected to pass the information along and get it dealt with accordingly. So we're doing our best to do that. As far as the poor condition of the site, that's noted as a condition of the item. As far as the storage containers, so the larger portion of this particular renovation is an interior renovation. In addition to the pickup lockers, it's a very large expansion of the warehouse area. Effectively, the reason for those containers is for warehousing of
Is it temporary while you're doing the remodel?
temporary warehousing of materials. Overall, with consumer changes in retail, more customer pickup is customary, and therefore a larger warehouse is needed. So it's a large expansion of the warehouse, where actually the back of house warehouse is going to extend all the way up to those lockers specifically. Those lockers are going to be Best Buy blue. They are not black. In the rendering, perhaps if you squint really hard,
They're gonna be there forever?
those are permanent lockers built into the
No, I'm talking about
facade.
the containers.
The containers, no,
That's
sir.
just for the materials. That's all I'm concerned about.
Yeah,
What's
those,
the timeline?
We were told that their inventory is being stored in those materials, which doesn't sound
Because they're
temporary.
probably lying to you, like they always do. They always come up with a reason because they're not supposed to have them and they know
well,
it.
I will
But
say
if it
that,
is for inventory while you're remodeling the store, or if it's for construction materials, it's probably okay. But the expectation is by the time the final approval is done, that stuff's out of there in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah,
We have other big boxes that come to us annually for the seasonal stuff too. And I would expect that Best Buy, if they have any type of storage containers, that you would come to the city and ask permission.
Understood. I
The
guess,
biggest one, Walmart, which sues us almost monthly for being overassessed, has them all over the place.
But
Has
they
to
ask at
constantly
least.
be reminded.
understood. Based on my conversations with Best Buy, the increased storage space through the renovation will increase inventory storage and therefore eliminate the need for on-site containers. And so that's the intention.
Do they have a timeline? Did they express a timeline when they were gonna have that?
It was my understanding in my previous conversation that those containers for inventory were to be removed prior to construction. And then construction-based containers through, the construction sequencing and phasing process would arrive on site. And upon completion of the construction process, no excess containers would remain on site.
Do they come to us when they have those other containers? They come?
No, they'll just,
Cause they're just gonna sit them?
we'll keep an eye on. Yeah.
The whole game plan is to get rid of those, and I appreciate you trying to keep the store in Greenfield and doing whatever you can in this economy to keep it viable. So I think that's good.
One of their best performing stores anywhere.
Perhaps it is.
It used to
Yeah.
be, yeah.
Very much so.
Okay.
So the explanation on the signage on that black, it's gonna be actually a dark blue?
Yes,
And it's not gonna be really,
Probably gonna look like.
It'll match the wedge facade. It'll be colored Best Buy blue.
They did not do a good
by
job
yellow?
of presenting that.
Well, I guess that would be my office's fault in of the
It looks better if
the
it's
color of the
darker than the
rendering.
bright blue that
Yes.
it really is going to be. Is that a fair statement?
Well, all the Best Buy wedges have bleached out over time. The actual Pantone of the Best Buy wedge is fairly dark royal as it's represented there. For what it's worth.
I'm just messing with you, man.
It's subjective. Color's subjective, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for making the improvement in the city.
Absolutely.
The landscaping is in really rough shape. It needs to be brought
Understood.
back up. The fence on the eastern side of the property, it's full of garbage typically.
Yes,
There's
sir.
got to be some maintenance by the store periodically to clean that stuff up.
Yeah, I drove past the site on the way up here, and I was hoping that it would all have been remediated so I could show you some pictures, but not the case.
Do you have any pictures of what it looks like unremediated? That would add to the record? Or
Well, I did take some pictures. They
can you
matched the
pass those on
pictures.
to the store then, maybe? And
Those pictures were very similar to the pictures that were presented by the Planning Commission. But I am in possession of a repair record for the landscaping additional service. I did note that all of the dead landscaping has already been removed.
But it hasn't been replaced, right?
Correct. They are, in this work order, they're looking to get a proposal to install new shrubs and plants. So it is in process in good faith.
And you'll pass that along to her, so
I like
to
the
Christie and
ideas.
her staff.
Will do, thank you.
Great, that'd be awesome, thank you. Anybody else have anything?
We just need a motion.
Mr. Krantz, you gonna make a motion? Mr. Krantz made the motion to approve, yes?
I make the motion to approve
Is there a second? How about,
with all the conditions.
with all the conditions as discussed?
I'll second with all the conditions.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Say it's gonna be in the newspaper,
That
but
was
they
Mr.
don't
Krantz's
really
first
catch up on
motion
it.
ever, do you know that?
Will you keep track of these?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
It's our first second. Okay, item 10A and 10B is a special use review for Kapow Inc., a proposed tattoo and body piercing business located 4380 South 76th Street, as well as a site plan review.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a tenant change. It used to be, previously it was Harvest Moon, and prior to that was Starship Tattoo. So property zone C4 requires a special use review. They have from today, about a 4-year lease. Hours of operation are Monday through Saturday, 12 to 9, Sunday, 12 to 6. Site is in good condition. Staff recommends this be expedited to next week's common council meeting.
That might be the bearded guy.
Are you the bearded guy? You're
Yes,
the, you're the
yes.
tattoo guy.
That
You kind of look like a
explains it.
tattoo guy.
Yes.
Sort of, no offense. It's a compliment.
Make a
mo-
motion to approve.
Second. All in
Expedite
favor?
it to the 17th, aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item,
Thank you.
okay, let's do, I know there's a whole bunch of 11 people here, but let's go to 12 first.
Yep, sure.
Certified survey map to combine recently vacated right-of-way in the vicinity of West Loomis Road and eastbound I-894. On-ramp within the 4300 block of West Loomis Road to a parcel of land located at 4300 West Layton. Entertain a motion to approve. This is just cleaning up a mess.
Motion to approve is presented.
Motion by Commissioner
second.
Weiss, second by Commissioner Braswell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Did you get
Motion-
anything from the state? Where are you? Did you get anything from the state for giving them the land?
They don't pay, they only.
Yeah.
Has the controversy gone away now? Okay, yeah, do you know if it went away?
Their objection?
Yeah,
I received a hard copy after the email and haven't heard a peep, so
okay.
it's sent for recording, so it is done.
That was a very nasty letter, and it took me by surprise that there are partners of ours, and we do communicate well with them, and we do play nice, and we got that letter. I was hurt.
The DOT objected to the vacation.
Prior to this happening.
Yeah,
I think they wanted to take 2 or 3 years.
right. I tried explaining, well, this is going to be done really quickly.
These
You'll
things
get what
take
you
2 or
want.
3 years when they do it, so we didn't take that long.
Did
Okay.
we make a motion? I don't even remember.
We
yeah, I
made a
got a motion.
All in favor if we didn't?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay, going back to 11.
Oh, do you want to do 13 since
I don't know
Dan?
what 13 is. Is that the same? What is it?
Dan,
Oh,
no, Dan's here for that, though.
this is permitted uses within the plan unit development
Yeah.
on you want to go through it? We
Yeah,
can.
yeah, sure. So just for reference, the parcels highlighted in blue here, that's the TID 8 area, but also it was rezoned specifically called Planned Unit Development Number 2, and the city drafted an ordinance that listed specifically permitted uses and setbacks and, specifically for the land highlighted in blue. So Cobalt has requested to make a amendment to that ordinance where we list permitted and special uses specifically within that area, to, offer a couple viable options for development here. As was described in the staff report, Cobalt has done extensive due diligence and solicitation to reaching out to medical users and office construction. And in today's markets, the medical field just is not expanding. They've really hit up every single major heavy hitter in the Milwaukee area and beyond, in Wisconsin and beyond. And there's just no demand for that at this time. And so to offer an additional viable option, they have found a market demand for logistics services, distribution, transportation, inside storage, warehousing, the larger buildings that you see along I-94, down, along Oak Creek, or going down to Racine and Kenosha, and out west, you see them in Pewaukee. There's just a really strong demand for these types of uses. So Cobalt is requesting the red text to be amended and added to this specific planned unit development. The permitted uses would be distribution, transportation, logistics, light industrial assembly services, and then add one more special use. Contractor services, if there were outdoor storage, would require a special use permit. So that's the proposed language. And then one paragraph to be added, which is just a little detail that's added to this particular ordinance, where it just gives more explanation, up to 400,000 square feet. And it is specifically, we're talking about the north end of the development, and the buildings not to exceed 60 feet in height. So a public hearing would be required. This could go before the Common Council in June.
Okay, if you can back up one slide just
Yep.
to. There is no commercial retail going on right now,
Right.
for the most part. Medical office buildings have probably been overbuilt, and when we talk to people, it's probably like 2023, 24, 25, before stuff even begins to there's this idea that it's overbuilt and there's consolidations and all this stuff going on. So the demand for professional service buildings and medical office buildings is not high at all. And there's likely consolidations probably going to happen in the future. Will there be less? I don't know. No one knows, right? So recreation and entertainment, which was part of this, right? Initially, there was a hockey user that had some desire to be at the site. The financial formula or pro forma to make it a viable enterprise was probably not, it probably wasn't going to work, to be honest. There's another recreational user that's out there, but we'll probably end up talking about this at some great length in the future, right? Where if it's this recreational user, it probably costs more to have that recreational user, and there'll be less value as far as the community goes over the course of time from a financial standpoint, but it's kind of a cool thing in your community.
It's got to be more valuable than a fence warehousing company.
That's not what this is all about. So when you get into this 400,000 square feet, we're told that the logistics, the spec buildings, and companies like the A company and the T company, which has got a big round circle, it's red, and there's a bunch of other companies, that there's no, it's the one area right now, I think, in the commercial real estate market that there's still demand for it. There's, I think, a lot of this site on a diamond interchange with a readily available labor force nearby. I think it would be one heck of a logistics center. But at some point, we're gonna have to compare this stuff, right? A logistics center doesn't require any TIF assistance for the most part, right? A recreational user probably does require some TIF support, and that's kind of a policy decision, right, of the city. The only thing I'm concerned about with this is on the next page, because I don't know about 400,000 square feet. That's a lot of feet, if you think about that.
For
And when you
Walmart.
say up to 400,000 square feet, I don't want to give this idea that you can have 400,000 square feet. I mean, the 400,000 square feet is subject to Planning Commission and Common Council approval based on the site layout and all those kinds of things, because we've been in the situation, well, said we could, right? That's the thing, that's the only thing that I'd really be concerned about. This doesn't mean that this is happening. I just want to remind everybody that when we started this TIF, I mean, the idea was, the apartments that were on the south side of the freeway would clean up and help pay for the interchange on the north side. People have talked about hotels and other recreational uses like hockey and some other things. The thing that was the most attractive at the beginning is if that other stuff didn't happen, there was still an opportunity to make sure that the TIF wouldn't fall flat on its face because of the nature of the property and its location to the diamond. Okay? So I support this, but again, in the future, there's going to be this kind of policy decision as to whether or not it's worth an investment to get something that's really cool and recognizable, probably statewide, right? But would require moving power lines, which are over $4 to $4.5 million, just to move those lines to make the property usable as a recreational use. With this, there's no need to move power lines. There's no need to do any of that stuff. It would still look like a Rockstar buildings and all those things. But that's a policy decision that's coming along, right? Going back, Alderperson Kastner, I'm sure was looking, if you can go back one slide. I'm guessing he was looking at the special uses there where it says contractor services with outdoor storage, right? So my understanding, talking to Cobalt, right? This isn't the person
That I met with?
did you meet with somebody?
Yeah.
Who?
A fence company that wants outside storage, so I assume it's the same one.
It's not.
No.
They don't have it. There is no one lined up to go into any of this space, right? You can go out to people to see if there's a need or demand within the environment for something like this, but, no, there isn't anyone, and it wouldn't be one of those places where they're storing all sorts of crap outside. I don't think that's the intent.
That's not our intent, and that was more of staff's recommendation, so that we.
It's a special use, so it would require a hearing and,
Gotcha, right?
okay, just to be clear.
That's good.
Early on, the state of Wisconsin wanted to put their sign shop here. I don't know if you guys knew that. They wanted to take 8 acres of this to make it tax exempt use for their sign shop, which is being displaced by the 94 reconstruction.
Evidence too, didn't they?
At one point, the state crime lab there was talk about it being here. It was in a whole bunch of RFPs, I think. I think with Cobalt did it once and somebody else did it, right? It's my understanding, well, it's never been funded, so they've never created a state crime lab. But the site, I thought, created issues because when the RFP was going on, there was a bombing in Paris. And your parking lot had to be so far away from the building, so someone wouldn't go in there and blow it up and destroy evidence of someone's trial. So this wasn't gonna be the state crime lab, because they couldn't fit it on the site.
That happened on Breaking Bad too.
It did happen on Breaking Bad. I don't know if Breaking Bad got that idea from the Paris incident, or if that's pretty common to blow up evidence in buildings. I never would have thought of that. I mean, that's kind of,
Blow it up, it was a magnet, wasn't it?
That was a magnet on Breaking Bad, yeah.
I don't know if with the power lines, if you can have magnets.
Good point.
So I would support this to keep flexibility on the site.
Pretty
Yeah.
much broadening.
It's broadening the available uses,
so.
while many of the other uses kind of fall off the board. It would probably also add the most value to the site. I see Alderperson Collins is here, who lives immediately next door to the site. Just to be clear that all of that has to go through site and landscaping and probably be part of our bi-weekly calls on Wednesdays, so there'd be no surprises.
We actually had somebody with a manufacturing for woodworking equipment there at one time too, didn't we? Plan on,
So the irony is, to some extent, it was one of the only areas within the city that had a manufacturing zoning associated with it.
With 5 parcels left.
With 5 parcels, right? So, was formerly the home of Splinter Pickle Company on the north side.
Imprex,
Imprex?
Highway 100.
No, on this site.
Oh,
Splinter
I thought
Pickle
you meant
Company
5 in the city.
There are 5 left in the city.
That's one of them.
Loomis.
Oh, on Loomis? Oh,
Across the street.
That's it. North. One across the street. On the other side of Loomis, the locksmith is still zoned
That's right.
manufacturing, and the self-storage and the dry cleaner. And
Further up.
further up,
Yeah, that's right.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed amendment to the.
Is there a second?
Second.
I don't know if I was loud enough.
I think Mr.
Go.
Mr. Krentz gets that.
Mr. Krantz, you gotta talk louder, sir.
Mr. Krentz's name will populate the minutes. We can do searches now on Google. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, going back to item 11, conceptual plan for proposed new construction of multifamily housing development project Verde, which means Project Green, I think, right in Spanish?
There it is, green, Spanish.
To be located at 5401 West Layton, and proposed ordinance to rezone the property at 5401 from C2 Community Commercial District to PUD, Planned Unit Development District, PUD number 3, submitted by Michael A. Testa, doing business as Ogden and Company, and Jonathan Ross, doing business as Ogden and Company Investment Partners, LLC. Christie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Everyone's familiar with the site we're talking about, River Falls Family Fun Center. The property has been for sale for 3+ years. Plan Commission recalls there was an offer to purchase this property, and a developer brought forward a low-income housing tax credit multifamily project in September of 2020. It was the same step, started with a conceptual plan review. And they did actually have a formal application to rezone the property. So there was no voting. It was a conceptual plan, just as this is this evening. However, the developer decided to not pursue the application after that meeting. And since that time, My understanding is this is the only other offer to purchase that the family has received. The family has publicly made it known that they do not intend on reopening this site, the miniature golf property and the business. And so Ogden was approached by the owners to actually act as their real estate agent for relisting the property, or I should say a new real estate agent. It was listed. And Ogden is a large company. They had a staff meeting. Their listing agency staff had mentioned it, and then their development arm piqued interest in the opportunity for redeveloping this site. And so that's where we are today. Ogden has submitted an offer to purchase the property. It's a 5-acre site, just over 5 acres, 5.04. And the property is zoned C2 Community Commercial District. So this is the existing zoning map. You've got park to the east, planned unit development to the south. You've got multifamily to the south, obviously Greenfield High School to the west, and a mixture of commercial and civic uses to the north. So what does C2 Community Commercial District mean? There are 100+ uses listed in the city of Greenfield zoning district. But I just threw out some examples just so everyone gets an idea of what is allowed there today, what would be allowed, what could this property be sold and used for. Basic examples of permitted use are your general office, a grocery store, convenience store, clothing, retail, financial institutions, banks, credit unions, doctor's offices, outpatient care centers, beauty salon, barber. So those would be permitted uses that someone could simply use that existing building and be provided an occupancy permit with 0 staff and 0 city review. Other special uses that would require a public hearing would be, for example, dealerships, ATV, motorcycle, new car dealerships, landscaping services, a nursery, a liquor store, tobacco store, CBD store, gas stations, car washes, auto repair, restaurant, bar, recreational sports center, as is there today, bowling center, ambulatory surgical emergency centers, funeral homes, veterinary services. So again, I tried to cover major types of uses. Again, there are way more than this, but these are uses that could go in today. A new owner could go in, and a public hearing would be required for those special uses. But that's what that commercial district allows for. In 2008, the city has a comprehensive plan, just like every community in Wisconsin. The state requires communities approve a comprehensive plan which identifies future uses for every single parcel in the city. It's a very extensive public hearing process, a lot of public input, a lot of meetings involved in that. And then the state also requires every community to update that and reevaluate how is your land use being, what's happening in your community. Do you foresee different paths for for parcels? So it's just an opportunity for the city to review that and reanalyze it. So in 2008, the comprehensive plan identified this parcel as planned business. So pretty much following all those types of uses that I had listed in the previous slide. In 2019 and 2020, the city went through the process of updating its comprehensive land use map and plan, and there actually was extensive discussion about this parcel at the time because it was listed for sale. So we knew it was over a matter of time that it was going to change, likely, some sort of use. Of course, not knowing who that user would be, but the Plan Commission and Common Council identified to change that to planned mixed use. Mixed use means it could be commercial, could be residential, could be both. And so this is what was adopted by the Plan Commission and Common Council for the 2020 Comprehensive Plan update for this particular parcel. So what Ogden's request is to rezone this parcel to planned unit development, which would fit the mixed-use concept of residential with, a little bit of that commercial use on the first floor. So I'll kind of go into the product that Ogden is proposing. And I don't want to steal their thunder. I know Ogden and Corb, the architect, would like to speak to the Plan Commission as well, but I'll just give you a brief overview of what their proposal entails. So it would be 2 buildings. The eastern building would be a larger building. The western would be a little bit smaller. This is the site layout where they have some parking in the front and then a parking lot in the middle, splitting the 2 buildings. So this is just the surface area that you see. They have a pickleball in the southeast corner of the site. And, oops, excuse me, I'm going to go back. The yellow is the lobby area. They would have a business center for their tenants and a leasing office for, obviously, prospective tenants. So this is a rendering from the view of Layton Avenue, looking south of what Ogden would propose. 4-story buildings. You've got brick facade along Layton Avenue and some hardy plank boards and a glass lobby area right along Layton Avenue. So the underground parking layout is here. So you have actually a connection underground. So in the winter, like tenants from the east building would not have to go outside if they don't want to. They could just go to underground parking and connect to the western building. And then they have a courtyard on both buildings. So it'd offer a pool, fire pits, cabana, and grilling stations for their tenants. And then the orange are the layouts of the first floor units. And then floors 2, 3, and 4 would all, for the most part, look the same. And again, this would be the layout. So what's in front of you here is a breakdown of the units and the parking. So they have a total of 27 studio units, 128 one-bedroom units, 56 one-bedroom plus den, 34 two-bedrooms, and 12 three-bedroom units. So the western building would have 114 total units, and the eastern building would have 143 for a grand total of 257. The parking ratio, they have 282 underground and 129 surface. I'm going to just some more renderings just to get an idea of what we're talking about for the design that Ogden would propose. This is if you were in the front parking lot of the project along Layton Avenue. And then this would be looking into the western building into their courtyard, standing in the center parking aisle. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Ogden to add additional narrative, or Corb, I'm not sure who wants to go first, but.
Or you can all go.
And again, I just want to say this is a conceptual plan review. As far as the process goes, if Ogden wishes to pursue with a formal application to rezone the property, to have site landscaping architectural review before the Plan Commission, they probably would need, additional month or so to get their plans in order, get civil plans drawn up, and then they would submit a formal application before the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission would provide a recommendation to the Common Council, and then a public hearing can be scheduled, and ultimately the Common Council votes on whether or not to rezone the property and approve the site landscaping and architectural plans.
I guess before you guys get started, I think we definitely need to admit or acknowledge one thing, that the mini golf is gone. It's not coming back.
No.
Until the community realizes that that mini golf could sit there for the next 40 years. In fact, I have a property in my district that basically the city actually pissed off the owner, and the owner is basically sitting on the property and letting it deteriorate for the next 40 years. I don't want that to happen here. So I appreciate your coming to our city, and I am interested in finding out what the proposal will be.
Mike, why don't you first?
Absolutely. So my name is Mike Testa. I'm a senior broker on our brokerage team. I represent the sellers in this transaction. The sellers came to me, because of my background in development, working for another developer previously, and my current work in brokerage. They felt that their previous brokers had not done an adequate job of submitting their site to development firms who could properly develop this site. The owners, I sat down with all three of them one afternoon in November, and they basically laid it all out on the table for me, and they said their site is closed. They are not able to reopen. One of the brothers lives out of state. The other brother lives west of Madison, and the third brother, who does live in town, unfortunately, his wife has recently been diagnosed with a terminal form of stage 4 cancer. They are very, very interested in disposing of the site to somebody who's going to continue on with that site and, in honor of their mother, do something with it that's going to give back to the city of Greenfield. They're not interested in a garage, right? They're interested in something that is going to be able to create significant tax increment for the city, so that the city can use those funds to create other opportunities for the other residents of the town, or of the city, I'm sorry. So they did actually write a letter that they asked me to share, if you don't mind me taking out my phone here. They sent a picture of it. They're in their older age. They're not super great with email. To whom it may concern, the River Falls Recreation Center ownership has made the difficult decision that, at this point in time, it is in our best interest to close the business permanently. We've posted this on their Facebook page, and in addition, we've instructed our webmaster to remove our website from the internet. The webmaster advised she will be putting this task on her list of things to do and will accommodate it accordingly. We've been proud to be a part of this community for so many years, but at this time, our health and retirement have become priorities, and it is no longer feasible to continue in this business. Signed, Larry, Frank, and Jim Kletchka. Larry is the brother that lives in Greenfield. He really has expressed that from the bottom of his heart, he wants nothing more than to be able to fund a treatment for his wife and to be able to spend time with her in her remaining days. So, that's why they've decided to sell, and unfortunately, they're not able to continue running the business under any circumstance.
Okay, thank you.
And my name is Randy Wilhelm. I'm an architect with Corbin Associates in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I'm excited that Ogden has asked us to help them develop a really nice quality product community for residents living in the community of Greenfield. So our priority has been to kind of bring the same quality that they've brought to other projects to your community. And I think Christy did a pretty good job sort of walking you through the architecture of the building and the concepts, and I think any questions that you have, I'd be happy to clarify anything.
When you go to the studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, do you anticipate a price point for the rent?
Yeah, you might be able to speak better to that?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. So what we're looking at is something that's probably 2 years to 2.5 years down the road. Mind you, when we're talking about these kind of rents, but
Are they market rate?
everything is market rate. The development is very similar to something that we did in West Dallas when Christie actually was on the planning department there, called Element 84 on South 84th Street, just south of Greenfield Avenue. And that particular project was 203 units with a modest amount of retail space on the first floor. But out of the 27 units we have in there, the square footages range somewhere between 555 square feet to 653 square feet. And we project the average rents to be about $1,272 a month. The 1 bedrooms range 724 to 797, or about $1,481 average.
It's about $2 a square foot, right?
Yeah, a little under that. Our average is a dollar, I think 92 is what it came out to be precisely. The one-bedroom dens, which are becoming extremely popular today, especially for with people that work at home, need an office, separate from their bedroom area and so forth. Those square footages are 877 to 922, about $1,607 average. The two bedrooms are 1,019 to 1,145 square feet, or about $1,881. And the three bedroom units would have three baths also. So it's really for empty nesters potentially that have family coming in, or for families. And that would be 1,330 to 1,360 square feet, and we figure at the average rents to be about 2,467. Again, we're talking about 2 years, or 2.5 years from now.
I have to ask, are you asking for any assistance?
We will be coming in asking for some form of tax incremental financing. And part of that has to do with the fact that today, I think everybody's aware the construction costs are going through the roof. It used to be that we would do a development, our construction costs would be about $150,000 a unit. Today, we're looking at $200,000 to $250,000 a unit just for construction. And then you add on all the soft costs, the land and everything like that. So usually there's a gap between the economic value and the cost approach, and that's really what we're trying to close the gap on. If we did, when we would come to ask for assistance, we would do it in the form of what's called a developer-funded TIF, which would not be general obligation to the city. Basically, the developer is the one that's actually funding it through a lending institution which provides the funds. And we would have a personal guarantee and personal obligation to that lender as opposed to the city in this case. So the city is taken out of having to take on financial responsibility for the TIF financing.
What's the estimated value for us calculating what we can tax you?
Yeah. Well,
$66,250,000.
yeah, we anticipate that our costs are going to range somewhere plus or minus $60 million. The actual value from an assessment point of view would probably be in the $45 million range would be roughly what we would project. So this would generate somewhere between $725,000 to $850,000 in tax revenues, which is significantly, obviously, more than what the current use is throwing off.
Did you do the calculations on the park fees?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yes,
ask
we
that
did.
park fees too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what park fees.
$1,806.
Per unit?
Per unit,
But
but that's a
yeah.
one-time,
That's a one-time, yes.
one time.
And then you multiply that by 257 units, I believe. What is it?
$464,000.
You.
Right.
So we'll have 400,000 to do with anything we want in the parks.
Exactly.
And then,
I mean, can you just put up I don't know which one it is.
can I ask a silly question, and it's probably one of the questions of the community is like, why did you guys go with residential, excuse my ignorance, why did you guys go with residential versus some other type of use for the property? And I understand this profit, some of it's money, right, it's profit, but just trying to.
Perfect example would be our Element 84 project. We right in the middle of the pandemic, we leased 203 units up in less than 6 months. And there's demand throughout the entire metropolitan area. Our Class A multifamily units are basically 100% occupied today. And we're finding that across the board. Mandel, you name it, anybody that has quality Class A units are showing high demand and high occupancy levels. To take that farther, the commercial space I talked about in West Dallas, we can't lease, or we're having a hard
Well,
time.
that's, yeah, because that was gonna be my next question, is why couldn't you split and at least have some commercial and
And we could do that, and we're willing to look at that option, but, you know, we do know that it usually takes significant amount of time to lease that kind of space up.
Sure.
Now, this might be a little different because this is a pretty good traffic
Yeah,
count area, so you
right.
might be able to you come up with some, uses for that. But we have just found that retail today is a very hard animal to deal with. And that's the main reason why we didn't go that direction.
So I just got to be clear. It's like I wish there was another site within the city that this could go, just from my perspective, and I'm not in any way trying to be negative. I went through a conceptual review when there were 100 units planned for this site, and I don't remember when that was.
2020 September.
That was half the site.
It was, yeah, it was less.
And there was
Less than
talk
half,
about, well,
yeah.
then we'll may do something else later, and this is much more comprehensive, and all those kinds of things. But just from my perspective as mayor, okay, and having grown up here and never having a main street, and our park used to be kind of junky, and now we've invested a lot, we've spent a lot of time and effort trying to make our park something special, which includes some more work on it, hopefully in the southeast corner of it with the pond and finishing out the pond, the paths, and all of that kind of stuff. And if you look at this picture, that I guess that's on the screen, if it's there, it just kind of looks like that pink is a continuation of our park, and I understand that it's not. Okay, I completely get that. The difficulty that I have is that the first time that this went around, and it was 100 units for half the parcel or whatever it was, and now with you, it's one of the most, I get a lot of emails and I get a lot of communication, and Facebook, which is usually kind of slow, tends to heat up whenever people have done what I've always wanted them to do. They've taken an ownership interest in the park that used to be just construction debris popping through the ground every now and then, right? That's the problem that I have. Mm-hmm. And since the rumors and I guess the actual press releases have gone out, I mean, that kind of communication is increasing at a rapid pace, let's put it that way, if that makes sense. Now, I understand Alderperson Kastner's economic argument, right, because all municipalities are in a position where it's extremely difficult to get the kind of revenues and to kind of get the dollars that we need to enhance our parks, right? And if this proposal was 8 blocks to the west,
Right.
I would go, yeah, let's do this because it's going to give potentially $456,000 of revenue to enhance the parks. And this is high quality stuff. This isn't the Section 42 stuff. This isn't, everyone's worried about workforce housing, but I think most people don't realize that we're the workforce, kind of, right? Or it's senior housing or something, right? I mean, this is market rate. It takes a lot of money to live in these places, right? And from what I can tell, the architect did an amazing job. Although I can see how he value engineered it to get the square footage down, the price per, I see some of that too. But even still, the building looks reasonable and nice, right? It's something that we should be proud of in the city. And I've told, and I don't mean to be a what's the word? I can't say it.
Protagonist?
No, well, a protagonist means that you're angry. The protagonist? No, the one that can see things in the future, what's that word?
Oh,
Prognosticator? Is that it? I can't, I'm struggling here. But I can assure, but I'm just telling you that, and I've told the alderpersons this, because there was, talk of this happening. I think I've told staff this, right? And told Alderperson Kastner when he and I
I
get,
kind of ignored
right?
it, but
Well,
yeah.
you ignore me, I know, but that's all right. This public hearing is not going to be a pleasant situation. At all, because people have taken an ownership interest in Conoco Park as one of the jewels of the city on Tuesday nights, and I mean, even, which makes it, I guess, a great place to put
It really is a
a
great
place
to
for
put
people,
them.
and you can make the argument, right? This is a great place for people to enjoy the park. It'll be there. It'll be, all these people are going there so they can use the park too, and they're given $500,000 in stuff to upgrade the park too, right? But it's going to be a very difficult public hearing. I've been asked by reporters, well, what do you think? I'm thinking that it's going to be pretty contentious. And
Can I
I
make a
preside over that public hearing, so I'm not at liberty to be recused, have to recuse myself because I've rendered an opinion as to what I think. But I will tell you that on the scale of 1 to 100, in the last 10 years, that this one will be way up there.
And I
I'd like not to have room full of people that are angry, thinking that I'm here to destroy things, and we're here to make the city a better place.
I think I want to bring a point too, to piggyback off it's that I think the sentiment, like what I've seen on Facebook, for example, has been, and it's nothing against the family, right? But it's taking an amenity away and bringing, something else, right? And then the people that live there are gonna, rightfully so, they're gonna, participate in the park and everything like that, and they're gonna have be right there. It's almost like, and not necessarily. I mean, I only lived in Greenfield since 2018, but. And I've seen it used. I'm not, was it at its highest peak? Probably not. The previous use, but my point is it's taking an amenity away and taking away a part of the park, even though technically, to your point, it's not
It
the
is
park.
not part of the park.
It's not a part of the park, right? But and I guess my point is that's I think the sentiment what people are saying is you're taking something away and you're putting up, if you will, concrete, right? And that's not, that's all. And it's so.
I just want to be clear. I'm sort of a libertarian, right? It's like you own your property. It's zoned commercial. There's permitted things. If you wanted to open a beauty shop there, if Ogden came in and said, I want to build, and using Corb to build a beauty shop on this parcel, they would have every legal right to do that without exception. And the permitted uses, special use thing that I was trying to talk to you about before, that list is actually a pretty good list of what those things are. If somebody wanted to build a bowling alley there, I'm thinking it's probably too small for a bowling alley, and there's a bowling alley across the street, that would require a public hearing, right?
Right.
And many of the same people would probably come out and express, I don't know, maybe if they like bowling and competition, who knows what they're gonna say, right? But to change, this is the problem that I see, and I'm just trying to be because there's a lot of money that has gone into this already, I'm guessing. It's really hard to change the zoning on a piece of property to begin with, especially one that has such strong roots in the community. It's even more difficult when you want to change the zoning to something that people aren't all that in favor of, and then ask the taxpayers even though you're paying for it, right, for the sort of the TIF assistance. So when we did the Meyer TIF, which it's called the Meyer TIF, Meyer didn't get any TIF assistance. We did other things along Layton and the street going up to the high school and some other lighting enhancements and stuff we could do. That TIF is, in 10 years, I can't remember how long it is, 10 years or something, it's gonna be over, right? And everything's paid for.
Right. That's another
1935,
This
I
extent,
think.
Right.
2035.
The 5.
35, something like
Yeah.
that. So-
And then what? And then what does it go to? Right after that, right? It's
So that
sold
you're
off.
extending that, and the taxpayers aren't getting the benefit of a
Right.
$20 million store and all the other taxes, right? That's all I'm saying, right? It's hard enough to ask for it, and it's hard enough to ask for it and then ask for payment to get it. Does that make sense?
No, we perfectly understand that. I mean, part of what makes this attractive is a lot of times too, that multifamily developers like areas that are close by to single-family homes. And, you know, then that's always a hornet's nest in itself because the single-family homeowner doesn't want to be next to renters, you know, so to speak. This is one of those kind of situations where you are kind of in a commercial district already, and you're away from most of the residential, you know, types of uses that people generally don't like to have multifamily next to. And you're right, it's an attractive point or for our type of tenants to be able to use a park, be able to walk to a park, use it. And what a lot of people don't realize is that you have, you know, I don't guess how many people we would have living in this community, but probably well over
Probably 500, right?
probably 400 individuals, all, you know, supporting the city of Greenfield, you know, the shops, you know, all the businesses throughout the community, not, you know, besides using the park. So it's more than just the economics of the tax base and, you know, it's the sales tax base, it's the park fee. There's lots of benefits to the community. And what we're proposing is to make it something that is attractive looking, that has a high quality and a high value. And there was some discussions about, you know, things that we might be able to do to soften up the exterior, especially from the park side. And there's things we can do by building green walls and green screens and things like that to blend it more in with the park too. So there's lots of different ways that we can, you know, enhance and make it fit better, you know, for, you know, people that might have concerns about it being next to a park, for instance.
But it's like I said, I think it's still also, in a lot of folks' minds, is you're taking amenity away, and that's subjective, right? Whether people used it or not, right? And whether it got, you know, the actual use that was meant, but, and putting in, you know, apartments that, you know, yeah, for maybe your benefit, what you're saying, yeah, that, you know, it's benefit to the city, but I think an individual, you know, owner, you know, homeowner, whatever, they're not gonna see that necessarily. It doesn't, I don't know if that makes any sense what I'm saying. It's like,
Basically, you're saying you don't really care about the people that own the property now. You want to devalue it as much as you can.
oh, it's
because
nothing
you
about
wanna-
devaluing
No,
it.
that's not even,
I mean,
That's what I'm
you
saying.
got to feel for the family. I mean, they
Sure.
had an investment in
Yeah,
our city.
sure.
And they've given to our city for many years. And our objective is to turn down good development so we can have smaller, less substantial development, which would mean the property that they're selling is worth nothing.
You know, well, it's like quality.
can I
or-
handle that one? So, I mean, there's another argument, right?
Yeah.
That we're not in any way diminishing the value of the property. It's still Zone C commercial, and they can still develop it any way they want, and there's nothing we can do about it. And they could sell it at whatever a piece of commercial property adjacent to Layton Avenue is worth. It's not gonna be worth $66 million upon completion. It's probably gonna be, if it's a Starbucks or if it's a something else, right, which could go there,
Sure.
right? It's probably worth $5 million when it's finally said and done, right? So you're balancing that, right? We are not, we are giving them, I'm guessing that you're paying more for it.
With the zoning
than what
change.
with, if there's a zoning change. I'm guessing your offer is contingent on getting a zoning change. They haven't purchased it yet, right? I'm just saying. It's again, it's a policy issue. It's kind of like the last thing we were talking about, right? Do you want this next to the park? Do you want to change the zoning for this next to the park, right? There's certainly a huge value to it, to the city long-term, as far as value goes, although we don't recognize any of it till when I'm dead, as far as the TIF goes, right? Other than the park fees. Or do you let the people that own the property continue to have the value of what it is as a commercially zoned piece of property And there are permitted things that can go there tomorrow, subject to site and landscaping. And there are special things that could go there, subject to public hearing and site and landscaping. Right? That's it. That's the choice.
And I think to expand on what Mike was saying about taking away an amenity, I've seen a lot of people refer to it as the city center. As far as taking away an amenity, it would, that all those residents would impact the parks and the use of the parks. So it wouldn't just be, oh, we're taking away this amenity and people can't use it anymore, only the people at the apartments can. It would also be a bigger influx of people on a green space that we have now, and I think that might be a consideration too.
So this is the thing, right? I mean, conceptual reviews are conceptual reviews, and I am trying to walk that fine line right down the middle. I'm not saying how I would vote if it ever was because I don't vote. He does, and she does, if she's still back there.
Yeah, she left.
I mean, hypothetically.
But I'm telling you that if you have a public hearing on this, it's likely going to be very well attended. Because we're in a planning commission meeting right now, and there are people here that I don't see ever. So they're here for a reason.
Yeah, the residents that are also
I'm
here,
guessing they're
right.
here for a reason.
Right.
And this is just for conceptual review, and it hasn't even been noticed. Although on Facebook tonight, they
Right.
will say that, why did you have the hearing, and why did you let us know that it was happening tonight? Because that's not what this is. This is a conceptual review.
Because if this wasn't the,
If it wasn't there, I would go, okay.
well, that's the thing, is if this was a gas station that was being redeveloped,
It would be a special use, and there would be a public hearing,
Yeah.
and I bet you the same people would say this shouldn't be a quick trip. And the common council, with a room full of angry people, would probably not support a quick trip there. It's
No.
not a permitted use.
I agree. But if the existing use today was a gas station, hypothetically, rather than the batting cages and the mini golf, and they brought this proposal forward, we'd say, you know what? This is a nice upgrade over that gas station that's sitting there today.
It's probably true.
And when you look at the neighborhood, does this fit within the neighborhood hypothetically? It does. I'm probably the one who's here that says, when I look at it, I see, long-term benefit of this, high-quality, multi-tenant, it fits there. From a highest and best use, from a real estate standpoint, I can see the perspective. Is it a permitted use under the zoning? It's not. That has to change, and that's the whole point, and I don't disagree with that. Would the city be losing amenity? 100%. Even though that's all, my kids there is an extension of the park, we would do the park things and go right to the mini golf. I
Right.
grew up doing that with the kids. I get that.
So I just want to, so that's all green there for the most part, or fake green, because it's the AstroTurf. Do you have the picture of what it will look like once it's? So there won't be any green on the site. And if you look on the right-hand side, I don't know if you can see where the ball diamond is, there are going to be a whole bunch of softballs bouncing off cars in the parking lot.
Right.
So that site plan, where you see the dark gray, that's actually underground parking?
You're going to hit that's a building, actually. So the softballs are going to be bouncing off the building. Sorry, you're right. You're absolutely right. The parking is in the ground. I'm sorry.
But it's still, it's still conceptually, right?
I mean, people will look on their balconies and they will find little orange or yellow softballs.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
green,
additionally to your
Yeah,
previous
no.
comment regarding the green space, so the plan you're looking at right now that Christy has up on the screen actually shows what you'll be seeing from the surface. So we did build a significant amount of green space into the centers of the building, as well as around all the buildings.
Right.
So what you're seeing there in the center of those two buildings where it's green, that's actually the roof of the garage that will be slightly above grade, but it will still be a green space. You will not be able to tell that
Is there a
that's
complete
garage.
site plan of what that looks like? What that looks like?
Yes,
somewhere?
Christy, could you go back to the screen shot or the rendering between the two buildings? Okay, so you can see that slight raised area in the center. So that will be, that's actually the parking garage that you're gonna see, that white wall there. So that's something that we could do one of those walls. So, but if.
There's still a significant amount of surface parking, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I don't see the picture where the buildings are and where all the parking is. Is there one of those? on there? I didn't see that.
Other than you have to transform two of them together to get the pool
ju-
area and everything else.
So is
that's the
that
green
what it- is
area
that
and
it?
the other one.
That's it.
This white part
So
is the
grays-
parking, right?
The grays.
The light
grays
gray.
are the buildings.
Yeah,
Right? And the white is the outdoor parking.
Minus minus the courtyard, right? There would be a courtyard here. There would be a courtyard here, but I mean, you're right, Mayor. Compared to today, the green space would be reduced. Compared to today,
It is
Significantly.
reduced, that's just being fair.
yep.
I mean, everything that you see there is essentially not green space. Yes, there may be a courtyard above a parking garage.
Because you didn't think to put a fence, I guess there was no, because I didn't see Rennie's, no fence between, let's say, the park and the parcel, right?
There's been discussion.
There has been discussion?
We thought
And,
about- we
yeah,
thought
and
about
like I
the
said, to his point, with softballs, I mean,
Yeah.
we got guys that are hitting
There's all
softballs.
sorts of, I mean, there's like 10,000 people that show up for fireworks, right?
Right, that's another thing, right? Fireworks, the Fourth of July parade, like, everything happens right there.
Yes.
Right?
Build these kind of buildings next to Summerfest grounds for crying out loud. People still rent those.
Yeah, so our Element 84 property
Guessing
that John had
different, but-
previously mentioned is right across the street from State Fair Park. We have
Sure.
to take extensive damage control measures. Our property manager calls it Armageddon for that week during the summer, and all the residents there, including myself, don't mind it. It's something that we understand when we move into those properties, and we don't mind. That's just speaking as a resident, not as, you know, a developer or a broker. You know, to speak on a couple of your previous comments as well, regarding commercial uses of the space. When I first met with the landowners, you know, we did an extensive analysis on what the highest and best use of this space would be. Unfortunately, selling parcels of this land to commercial users like a Starbucks would never happen, unfortunately.
Because it's too expensive.
It's
right?
too large. Starbucks takes less than half an acre.
Well, you can
for
split this
anything like-
parcel up, right? You don't have to sell all 5 acres.
No,
right?
I mean,
With the
so,
depth.
I don't want to get into,
Yeah,
I mean, it's zone commercial, and there are things that are permitted,
Yeah.
and there are things that are special uses, and then there are things that require rezoning.
Like down the street going from single family to multifamily. That was a pretty big change, and that's right in the same neighborhood.
No, it's not in the same neighborhood. There were,
4
there,
blocks away.
there were 7 houses that were in horrible shape, that were rentals, that
So
were
we should let this
And that's
get the
another thing,
horrible
right? To your point, other folks have said, well, they're putting in that down the street, right? Layton and Loomis is what you're referring to. And then now why add additional here, right? When, to her point, it's the city center, right? It's like, you know, and I understand the market's probably going to this,
Can you
right?
name
They're
the building
going
the
to
city
trying to
center?
have,
Can you name the building the city center?
if that's what it takes.
I get your point, Carl. I mean, I do. I can see both sides of it.
I
If this were,
I don't think this is anything that, okay, 10 years from now, will this happen more often than it is right now? Guarantee you.
Yep.
Our city is gonna transform.
It
Do we
is.
want it to transform slow or fast?
well, it depends what your transforming looks like, right? So
This isn't a bad building, maybe a little bit too big, maybe it needs to be tweaked, maybe you need more green space, maybe you need more rooftop green space, maybe you need, you know, activity centers up there.
I agree, to me,
I
it's a
don't
heck of
know.
a start. It's a
So
heck of a start.
It's a start.
I think that
it's
the-
gonna be commercial.
so
Okay,
just
but
to be
fair.
clear tonight, I mean, because it's already 7:30, right?
Well,
be here until
about
8:30.
We could talk about, there's clearly a divergence of opinion
There is, and
as
we
to
should have.
whether or not this is the appropriate thing to go there.
I think it's a good start.
Conceptually, that's all we're talking about. Is this
I
the right
understand.
thing to go there?
but-
This isn't a site and landscaping
Nope.
plan.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
isn't a
sure.
zoning rehearing. This isn't any of those things. At some point in the future, the common council, the 5 of them, will have to make a decision as to whether or not this is an appropriate thing after a public hearing and this room is full of people. Right?
Absolutely,
That's
the way the
truth.
process works.
So the economic benefits and this is the best thing for the future of the city, I think that opinion has been,
I think we've all shared ours.
and I think,
what I was gonna say to Carl's point is, or what, piggyback on what you were saying is Layton and Loomis, there's gonna be an influx. To what she's saying is that means there's gonna be more people at Conkle Park, right? Right? Inherently, right? And then you're adding this particular part, you know, this particular living, multi-purpose purpose of living, whatever, and then that's gonna also impact, right? And then I think that's what people are worried about, it's like now you're just getting, Kunkel Park's getting dumped on,
I'm
right?
actually more worried about the businesses within our city, the restaurants, the barbers, everybody else that will, these residents and the people on Loomis and Layton will be using.
Sure.
I
See,
mean,
that-
there's
that's
stores
understandable
that
as well.
aren't-
Do you have a Google map? Can you pull up a Google map on there?
And that's understandable as well, I get your point, right?
I
Bringing
mean-
more of those folks in will help, for the businesses as far as, workforce, as far as, the spend.
I mean, we're talking about putting warehouses next to residents. This is in the middle of nowhere.
68th to,
I think we need to be worried about both of those,
right there, that would be great if you could do that.
residential and
Actually,
retail.
can you go back?
Oh, without the.
Yeah, just go back.
Will this make
So I
the
want you to,
city a
this
better
is a
place?
Google map, this is a Google map, all right? This isn't anything that we've tried to do. Do you see how Google
This'll make
looks at this
city a
piece of
I
property?
think it's a great first
Use it
approach.
as kind of a green space, even
Green
though it may
space.
not be, right? Okay, all right, now can you go to the,
Jump through hoops.
I put
I'm
a
just saying, I'm
sign
just
and
saying
Google
that
Maps
I-
utilized
I'm
and
not
said my
here to-
driveways
I'm not here to
are
argue
street
with
name.
anybody.
It's a right
Okay,
spot.
now
that
can
I think
you,
fits very well with the neighborhood.
can you kind of zoom it into 68?
You can tweak a little.
And where House of Harley is, see that? See that? Okay. Do you see that big piece of green land in there?
Back here?
If you said, this is where we want to do it, right, next to condominiums and next to other multifamily, I'd say this is the best thing I've ever seen in the world, right? Okay? Now can you go the,
But
see
what's
where
right
the park
behind,
is?
what's just south
I'm
of this?
just saying, right? So now let's look at that spot.
Yep, zoom in.
Let's zoom in between 60th, right there.
There's condos right there to the south, but right behind the tree line.
That right on the other side of the river.
There's a tree line there with a.
Yeah, and that's
path
another
and
point is there's gonna be a river. I don't know if you guys know that.
That's the
There'll be,
Honey
I'm
Creek.
sure that she said that. Yeah, there's,
Right.
I'm sure
So
you said
that,
something.
so
Yeah.
immediately below those ball diamonds, that's the next area that the park's gonna get improved. There'll be a pond going in there and all that. You guys know about all that, right? There'll be paths in there and all that kind of stuff, right? As you're going through Layton Avenue from 60th through the entire frontage of Conkle Park, it's sort of green and there's ball diamonds on as bookends, right? There's the farmer's market, there's the amphitheater, and then right smack dab in the middle of it, no offense, gentlemen, is a 4-story brick thing.
So,
So that's all I'm saying.
so your point being,
my point is
you
that
want people to get into cars, drive across town, or opposed to walk out of their door and enjoy the park. So you're promoting
I don't know
So
where
here's a-
that's coming from. I'm not promoting any such thing.
more driving across town as opposed
Although
to
I do
having
drive
people live
across,
next to the
I
park.
do drive across town to go
I
to
know,
Conkle Park
I do
all
too.
the time.
I think it's a benefit. They're next
And I
to the
live
park.
like very close to this area, so I mean,
We all do, it's our city.
We all do.
well, yeah, but
But
what I'm
like he
saying
lives
is
like
I,
right there.
I live right there, like similar to Pam, I live like right there.
All right.
So, it's, so,
So I just don't, and all of this stuff is gonna come out at a public hearing and 5 people will vote on it. And the last time, when 100 units with half a thing,
They
they
never-
voted against it.
We never voted. We never went anywhere.
didn't go past, yeah. And it was because of dialogue, obviously. to
No,
your
there
point,
wasn't,
right?
there wasn't dialogue between alderpersons, there weren't
No,
walking
no.
quorums or anything. But I can tell you, after doing this like for 25 some years, right? The thing that freaks out an alderperson is a room full of people that are angry at something that they don't think is right. And we've been blessed over the last 17 years not to have rooms full of angry people because we try to be honest with things.
Do lesser projects in the
That
city
doesn't-
that
we
don't
haven't
actually.
done, dude, we have done hundreds of millions of dollars worth of projects in, I think, pretty reasonable ways to the point where people actually want to be here, like Ogden and right? I mean, that's a good thing. I'm glad you're here. You're gonna walk out of this going, damn it, right?
Yeah, there's certainly a reason we're here. It's
So
because
we're
we saw this
We're the
site.
20th largest city in the state. We're the same size as Beloit. We're the 3rd largest suburb in Milwaukee County. We have 270,000 people within 5 miles of 84th and Layton. We have probably more than that within 5 miles of 60th and Layton. We have a ton of people. We have 250,000 people here. Whether 400 or 800 is gonna make any difference to that, I doubt it.
Sure, but.
But there, I just think that there will be a lot of people that are not in favor of it. And all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be honest with you. So, because you can push things through, you can, if you want, or you don't. It's not gonna be a pleasant public hearing to be presiding over, because everyone's gonna think that, well, you wanna do this. No, I wanna preside over the public hearing, so that they can make a decision. That's all I wanna do.
Understood. I've actually been monitoring everything that's been going on Facebook. I've seen all of it. I've read all of it. And, you know, based on a discussion that we had yesterday, we feel that, you know, the appropriate way to move forward from our behalf is through education, and educating everybody on the true benefits of this, right? You know, there's been, you know, a couple of times in the discussion that you have been having up there, I've heard the term, "we're getting rid of it." It's gone,
Yeah, it's gone.
unfortunately.
Sure, fair, it's gone.
So it's not something that Ogden is doing, it's not something that you're doing, and it's a matter of that education and making sure that that information is public and understood and recognized.
Would it be worth less if it was sold just as a commercial property?
100%,
It would be worth a lot less. wouldn't it?
100%, $200,000 maximum,
And if
It
you're
would
thinking
be about
about,
$200,000 if it was a commercial property?
correct?
And is it substantially more than that if it's zoned as multifamily? Like multiples of that, I'm guessing, right?
Yes,
So in fairness, and I'm not saying, because the Kletchkas, I mean, the kids seem to always fight with each other, but Mrs. Kletcha was a wonderful lady who had the highest regard for the city and always donated for the mini golf to anytime we needed something, she was there, right? So in fairness, though, the zoning does kind of get down to, if it's currently zoned as it is, it's worth a couple $100,000. If these guys come along and they get it rezoned to put this in, which some people may not like, the kids are getting a whole bunch more than they otherwise would have.
That's the reality.
The other option is that kids hang on to it for 200,000 and wait till the temperature in the city changes and they just let it dilapidate for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Then you got an eyesore.
Then you have an eyesore for the next,
But some at the public hearing will argue that a four-story building right next to a park and the
Can
ball
also be an
field is an eyesore as
Right.
well.
It can
So
go
let's,
both
I mean,
ways.
it's a $66 million eyesore or it's a $200,000 eyesore.
Right,
That's
and then
the
I
question.
guess to the point is, let's go to Carl's argument that if it does stay and you say, you know, you don't buy it and it stays with the brothers or it stays with the family, we're only getting what, 28,000, right? Ish, 20, I don't know, $30,000 in
I
taxes?
don't know what that tax,
Something, the tax bill is not very high, right?
$28,100.
That's right. So we're only getting, you know, I mean, so I'm just,
and
I'll
we're
break that
getting
point
it
as well.
immediately. We don't have to wait 30 years for it. 22 years, 27 years. whatever.
400,000 over 20 years is more than 28,000.
I don't know, 28,000 times 20 years is so much.
But 400,000
And
for
we'd get
the,
that anyways under a TIF, right? Because the ultimate.
Well, it wouldn't be 20 years because the TIF district expires in 35. So we're really only that period really is, what are we talking about, 13 years from now?
Yeah, 13 years.
The
Right,
existing TIF without any assistance would be fulfilled
In 2023.
in a year,
yeah.
2 years.
I'm sorry, in 2024.
In a year and a half, the TIF could be potentially,
Correct.
I'm just saying.
if you frame it in what's in the best interest for the city or Kunkel Park, what would be the best neighbor for the park? Is it bringing in residents next to the park and a community of people? Or would you rather see commercial come in? You're gonna have a lot more surface parking in that case.
So I can't speak for what the common council, you know, because there's always these public hearings with regard to changes in what the land use plan is and zoning.
Yeah.
If this property weren't rezoned and it remained as commercial property and it went up for sale at what the value is as commercial property, the city could potentially look at it to purchase it and, you know, incorporate it within the park, right?
so
But
that's our
Others
plan?
would not
that is
sell it
not
for
our
that.
plan, and I would.
The property, so
No,
the
I'm
city can buy
not, no,
it?
it's not devaluing the property. It's worth $200,000. That's what it's worth.
Right, it's
That's what
commercial-
it's
it's
worth.
commercial. right now.
Apparently it's worth
Right?
what he's offering to give
No,
them.
it's not worth what they're offering to give them unless the zoning is changed.
Right, correct.
No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting.
Yet you're
I'm not-
trying to take-
Carl, that's not appropriate.
Just what I see in front of me.
No, that's not appropriate. At all.
I don't think what you're trying to accomplish is.
I don't even think you'd buy it anyways, so I'm not suggesting that. But the point is, it's worth $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 as a commercial property as it's zoned right now. And if it isn't rezoned and it stays an eyesore for 20 years because somebody gets a bug up their butt, then so be it. But if it's not going to be rezoned and it's going to go on the market and a car wash comes through and wants to build it there and there's a hearing, or the city can look at it as well because there will be an asking price. I'm not sure that the city would actually buy it.
But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter here tonight. Tonight, there's conceptual. We've all voiced our opinion on this conceptual.
Right, I agree.
And to me, the public hearing.
But don't ever accuse me of trying to, I mean, because
That's
I don't.
exact words out of your mouth.
No, he's trying to give you an idea, right? He's trying to.
You know, you're saying that it's gonna just sit there idly forever and they're not gonna sell it and so all interest that they would have in selling this property immediately evaporates if they can't get it rezoned.
Right.
I doubt it.
No, they'll keep marketing it for something else.
They'll keep marketing it.
They don't want to run a business. The business is done. That's
Yeah.
over and done. with.
Look
It's
at
close.
Beloit and Cold Spring once. Just drive by and look at the timeline on that.
Where?
Beloit and Cold Spring.
Where a building is encroaching
Yeah, I
the
know.
public right of way and doesn't have any parking, and the guy's pissed off because 30, 40 years ago, they wouldn't let him put a parking lot across the street, which is now one of our best subdivisions. I don't know. I don't know if it's the same. Probably not.
Probably not, but it's
Probably
one
not.
person pissed off that,
One person, and
And now this is
these-
one family that could
And-
not want 200,000, they'd rather have 6. I don't know.
I don't know, Carl. I'm just saying that.
You're saying you don't like this
I'm not
apartment complex.
I'm not saying that I like it or don't like it. I'm saying that there's gonna be a public hearing.
The public
where,
hearing's
from
coming.
what I can tell so far, there's gonna be a lot of people that don't like it, but there's gonna be some other people that go, well, this is a good thing. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And they should voice their opinion.
And they should voice their opinion, and the
100%,
common
that's why
council
we
should
got
make their
involved.
decision. That's all, and you're one of those people, and it's pretty clear that you've already made up your mind. So that's 1 out of 5.
Open to it.
I'm open too.
I like it.
But you should make up your mind right now, because there's a public hearing.
I'm not made up my mind. I'm not negative against it like some people up here.
You're very positive about it. I'm not negative. I'm
It
telling you,
sounds like it.
I'm trying to be as objective as possible based on the calls and the emails and the texts that I get from people about this.
Right.
That's all I'm
And
trying
being
to do.
realistic, right?
And I think maybe an educational campaign could work.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't work.
We completely understand. And again, going back to that education component,
And I like Carl, I'm not yelling at him. I don't like to be accused of things.
Oh,
and
no,
such.
we're,
it's always fun to yell at your friends, right?
He's not a friend. I wouldn't call him a friend, but just kidding.
So
Well, we're kind of friends. After
Can I ask you
30
something?
years-
You said education, but I
friend
think
Mike.
to his point, right? I think what people are going to see is a building, regardless of the education. Yeah, in the education, I guess I'll let you speak to it and just what you think education will do or what you're proposing.
So there's a lot more to this building and what a development here can bring to a community other than a tax base.
Sure.
So think about,
You don't have to give us all that, seriously, we don't have to get into all that. I think
Okay.
everybody, so if you're gonna do that kind
Long-
of education, then you're gonna wanna do the 3D rendering where somebody's flying through, showing what the park is, how the building fits in with
Yeah.
the park, so I'm not going, well, is that a parking lot? Or
Yep.
somebody, right?
so long story short, people want to live here. People my age, people just like me
Will
want
you
to
move
live
here
here.
if we build it?
Oh, 100%.
You will move here.
I absolutely would live in this building. I live in another one of our buildings right now, and I would call my movers and have them come pick my stuff and bring it up
Well,
here
you seem like a nice person.
on occupancy day.
I would love to have you live here.
You would have so many people just like me here. You're gonna hear a big argument about rents being too high, and people are gonna say, my mortgage is less than that. The difference is, you move in and you pay your rent in one of these buildings, that includes your property taxes. Your water heater goes out, don't have to worry about it. No surprise $3,000 bills. I wanna go on vacation next week, I can do it. I can lock my door and I can leave and not worry about my lawn, my snow removal, anything like that. That's what people my age and in the millennial and like millennial group want. They want to live in cities like Greenfield, in West Dallas. That's what they want. They want to be here. They can't afford houses. They don't want to live in houses. this is a gateway for them to come move to your community and fall in love with your community and buy a house in 2 or 3 years, right? They want to come here. They want to spend their time here. They want to sleep here. They want to play here. They want to go out to eat here. They want to go to Meijer. They want to go to Aldi's. They want to go to all of the small shops in Greenfield, and they want to enjoy that. And this is giving them an opportunity to do that.
Fair enough. So have you made up your mind as to what you want to do? All right. So it's a conceptual review. No action is required this evening. You would continue to work with Christie with regard to, right, bringing a site landscaping plan in. I would strongly suggest that it's expensive, but if you're hoping for success, the 3D rendering and the flyover stuff is important. And that's a lot of money, I know that. But you probably have the software. Or you
Yes, they
do.
do.
That's what we got Randy for.
All right.
Community
That's it. Anything else you guys want to add? Or anything else that you think is important?
We appreciate
Yeah, we
the opportunity to bring it
I
forward.
just want to bullshit you, right? I mean, it's like you just know that you're walking into something here that's not, it's not going to be
Yeah, hornet's
potentially
nest.
pleasant. I'm just saying.
That is Mike's major point he's trying to make. It's
I'm
not
just,
gonna-
I don't want to, so I don't want to go to Greenfield again because, the last time I didn't know it was coming. I mean, it could
You've
potentially
made
come.
that quite clear.
Maybe it
will
won't.
not be a pleasant public hearing.
I
That's
just-
okay.
I
They're
just.
big, they've done this before. This is not their first rodeo.
That's okay. I get it. I'm just saying.
You're very right.
I understand.
Okay, 14, Community Development Manager Report, Yanni?
I've been very busy with inquiries about Spring Mall. They hired a broker, and so bids are due May 20th. So I've had a lot of meetings with developers. We'll see who submits a bid to Brixmor. It'll be interesting.
I just want to be clear too with this TIF thing, right? I mean, just from when I start analyzing this stuff, and just because it kind of starts with us, right? There are folks that come in and it's like, oh, I just want and I'm not talking about these guys, right? We just want to put apartments in and that's it, and we want you to help pay for them. And so my thing is, and it's not just necessarily the park fees, right? Because the park fees will come with anything. The point is that if we're going to bring that kind of housing into the city, then it has to do something else to benefit the city other than just the park fees. So for instance, like with Spring Mall, if somebody comes in and says, I just want to put in 800 apartments and then I want to leave, right? Yeah, it creates value, but there's areas around 76th Street and Cold Spring and the Triangle and all that stuff that needs to be, that's where the hard stuff,
It has to
right?
support.
It has to do something, right?
We got a good tattoo parlor going in.
But, so that's the
That's
point.
in your district.
So do we want tattoo parlors
did
to
the
go into
other
old
one.
Kohl's food stores, or do we want the Kohl's food store to be torn down and replaced with something else because the increment created at Spring Mall is helping provide a more global approach to the city? It's like when we did Meijer, right? Meijer was the driving force, even though they wanted nothing, but that enhanced Layton Avenue. They put the street up to the high school where they had the problem. It helped with a lot of things.
We're all agreeing with that.
I just want you all to know that it's not just about apartments and the money. It's that the apartments and the money that go to make other things that are more difficult to fix possible. That's kind of how I look at it.
The firehouse.
So I know people, so the reality is with fire departments and people, I just want to talk, since we're talking about this parcel, right? Somebody said, well, why don't we just buy and put up a fire station there? Because it costs money, and the reality is
We didn't
Greendale.
budget, the city didn't budget for that, right? Let's
Greendale
be
has a
clear.
brand-new fire station a mile away, so why don't we consolidate with Greendale and Franklin and Hales Corners, and then we don't even need a fire station because we're covered. That's another way to look at it. So,
Should happen sooner or later.
well, it's been 20,
I know.
actually, it's been since 1972 that talks have been in process for that.
Was that when we built the other fire station?
That was, I don't remember when that one was built. This one was built in 1963, the year I was born.
It had to be close to 70 on the other one.
70 years?
No, I meant 1970 for
Now I
Station
will
3
take
or
issue
2.
if you think I'm 70. All right.
Well, Don did it, apparently.
I don't remember
Is
when
it
that
only
was.
Spring Mall
90s? Was that 80s or 90s? I don't know.
is that the only thing that's
The
exciting?
original fire
for the
station was
development?
supposed to go where
Anything else?
Kawiki Park is. Did you know that? But it was too wet.
The bike path.
Spring Mall is just, it's,
Oh, yeah, the Power Line Trail, the one that utilizes the.
right,
ATC.
people are mad about Cold Spring and driving up Cold Spring. Carl, did you hear about that?
Well, people going the wrong way on a
Yeah,
one-way street?
yeah,
you
why don't you
think
get out
that-
there with your sign, right? Make sure the people aren't doing
We
that.
had police there, and they parked cars, and they stopped it, and
Okay.
I was there probably a dozen times.
So was that our project or is that?
That
somebody-
is ours, we're building that bike trail nicer than the road
What the
underneath it.
contractor should have
Right.
done is he should have had the people with the stop and go signs on both sides. Traffic control, that's how you usually do that.
Yeah,
But the
well-
contractor's trying to save money and didn't get the
Yes,
signal.
correct, agreed.
That's
Or
what
save lives.
you should have signalmen on whenever you have one lane of traffic. You don't just close one lane. I almost drove down it the wrong way just because I was so upset. But
Well,
I didn't, because I wouldn't
I
break
think
the
they
law.
needed more signs myself.
All right, community development manager report, anything else? No? Power Line Trail is going, it
It's
started
going, it started, it's
from
doing.
105th
well,
Street
yeah.
to 35th roughly. That's going in.
To be finished this year.
I think so.
At least parts
It's a
of it.
60th it will be. I'm not sure if it goes all the way. I'm not sure what the funding's like, because that's.
Yeah, the two different
See, you put
funds,
that,
so maybe not.
always been there.
Right?
We
Everybody
didn't bid
else?
the whole thing, did we?
I didn't
I
realize.
don't know.
Never
I
saw
don't
it. I
remember.
don't know why I missed
I don't remember either.
all that jargon.
I'm gonna
They
say
tell me
no.
things and then it changes and they don't.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
We're gonna make a motion to.
I make a motion to adjourn. Wait, I think she should. You want to make a motion to adjourn?
What do I say? I make a motion to adjourn?
Yep. Very good.
All
Is there a
right.
second? Second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. If there was a baseball, we'd give it to you. It's like your first hit. So, all right.
Sorry, I wasn't very excited.
It was better than Netflix. It's just a cleaner presentation without coming to a public hearing and everybody